Yes, here we are, starting a new community in Cascade Hills. Oh dear goodness, this is yet another community. I have tried to progress communities to Nightmare and have lost almost every single member of every community within 30 minutes to an hour. So, this is just one of the 30 communities I've gone through trying to get good at getting on with the Nightmare Zone because I would like to earn the Legacies for my first time in the Nightmare Zone because I haven't earned them anywhere. I have no Legacy characters. I have no communities that have survived through. So, we are going to pull together yet another community. And sad to say it, but things don't bode well for them either. But I keep trying. And it's people like Get Good Fox and, well, Jersey-O and Studio H. I've been watching a lot of their content, and I still haven't picked up where I'm failing where they're not, though I did get a good tip from Get Good Fox, who was basically explaining that one of the primary mistakes I made earlier on in advancing to Nightmare was, well, trying to build up the base without caution. And I've tried, there we go, somebody had to just lay there, and luckily he became a target. So, having to fight off against, wave after wave of problems, I noticed that some of them were caused by me. And that is fair enough. But, then again, some of them are not caused by me. And I need to change that. So, we're going to say our hellos and good morning, my friends! Yes, good morning. This is the illumANark of illumANark Podcast Radio on Anchor.fm, the Enlightened Anarchy Podcast. But I also do things here on YouTube. This is just some lovely background to the concept that the reason why I play zombie survival horror video games. I really had to look into it, and because I speak a lot on the power of overcome and the power of overcoming the adversity and difficulties in your life. Now, I have a lot of education in that department. We're talking hard knocks education, not textbooks and psychology background and all that. No, we're talking about somebody who's had to ding his way through life. And I will have to admit, I do love that, starting at a standard zone, that my truck came with a container of gasoline when we were broke down with no gas. Anyway, so we're going to get into the initial house and start things rolling. Now, there are things about overcoming, okay? There's a process, adapt, improvise, overcome. Now, some people put it in other order of improvise, adapt, overcome, but I like the adapt to the circumstances you're in. Face. Adapting to a circumstance doesn't mean standing in the line of fire when the volcano is dropping, ash and soot and molten lava your way. You don't stand in the way. You have to bug out, but you adapt to the circumstances of the difficulties created by the volcano going off. I use that example because somebody's like, well, you can't adapt to lava. Well, yeah, very true, very true. But you can adapt by moving out of the lava's path. You improvise solutions. These are solutions that not every one of them is going to necessarily work. Not every one of them is necessarily going to be helpful. Not every one of them is even going to be useful, and some may even be counterproductive. But you improvise those solutions. Brainstorm. You pull things together. And then you apply selectively your choices. Find the ones that work for you. Now, you may find one that doesn't work, and that's fine. Do you know what failure is? Failure is a chance to do it again, this time with more information. You have a better chance. Now, I play the heck out of zombie survival horror because it's truly about overcoming a process that is so beyond the pale for people. We don't have to fight to survive in a day-to-day world in the United States. Okay, in the heartland of the United States, you don't have to fight against a wave, a horde, anything. You basically have to go to work and eventually collect your paycheck and then go home and spend it. Sometimes it's spent well before it's earned. But the reality is, adapt. You adapt by going, okay, I'm going to reduce my expenses until my check is not exceeding my expenses are not exceeding my income. That's your adaptation. Now you're improvising solutions. Well, what are some solutions you might improvise? Well, educating yourself to prepare yourself for a better paying job. Educating yourself so that you can become more productive at the job you do so that you can be better at it and therefore earn more money. Or find a better job. Find a secondary job. Find a side hustle. These are all choices. Out of those choices, you pull something out. What is it? You have to figure out where you stand, what you're doing. You have to figure out where you're at. You take these solutions, you've improvised them, you apply them, and then once you apply them, you will be able to overcome. Now, if you chose to increase your education so you could be more valuable to your employer, and by creating more value to your employer, you can extract more value from your employer. Very true. Very, very true. Now, you may educate yourself so that you can move along without having to delay. Okay? Not without move along without having to delay your advancement within a company. By educating yourself so that you can get a better job. Get out of the Mick job and into a better paying job with benefits. There are any number of things you can do. But the overcoming comes from when those ideas are applied and they are useful and they're productive. Hopefully, they're not counterproductive. You don't want to quit a job unless you have another one lined up. And you also don't want to do a lot of social media idiocy while you're trying to find a job. But that doesn't mean that those things can't be overcome. It just means you make your life more difficult by making it more difficult, by being counterproductive. Now, this is funny because I am on YouTube mainly because I have no other choices. And when I say I have no other choices, I mean that despite my desire, I live on disability. I now have enough money to live on that I used to spend as much, if not more than that, every month on lunches when I worked as a stockbroker, while I was working as a private investigator, while I was working in the security field, when I was doing executive security. Now, all those little things, security is something I've been fantastically good at for decades. It probably helped being 6'10" and 357 pounds of raw meat. With a 4.5%, 4.25% body fat. I was useful in the security gig. My one of my bosses used to say I made a perfect doorman because I was the size of a door. When you're 6'10", you're 2 inches taller than any door. So guess what? People don't push you through doors very easily. And they don't push me out of the way. Now, I'm no longer 357 pounds. And there's an alarm. I'm no longer 357 pounds. But I also no longer do bodyguard work. I no longer do bouncer or cooler work. And that's because my physical health won't save to that. It just won't play nice. And it's troublesome. So I've had to live on disability for more than 20 years. I've been shot 3 times, stabbed 3 times, hit by more than 26 cars, 3 pickup trucks, 2 delivery vans, and a city bus. And no, I don't want to try anything larger than a city bus. The city bus was devastating enough. It's what guaranteed that I'm probably never going to see my way off of disability. But I tried on YouTube back when I was in the partner program before you had to have 1,000 subscribers and 400 hours or whatnot of watch time, or 400 minutes, whatever, however many it is. It's a number of minutes long beyond my capacity at this point. So here on Thin the Horde, I play video games because it's what helps me with my mental health. It's what helps me with my PTSD in particular. And it's really what helps me kind of make my way through in a very difficult world for myself. I've had 2 open heart surgeries. I've had 2 orthoscopic heart surgeries. I have had 6 strokes. I've had, 4 heart attacks. Yeah, so it's, not very, my life hasn't been very, very productive for me. It's been very damaging, but that's also raked through every penny I had. It's what caused me to have to be on disability, as well as everything else. Now, having to suffer through post-traumatic stress disorder from many, many 2 years of being in the midst of conflicts that I had no control over. Yeah, it's caused me issues, but this is how I cope. I play video games. Now, there's a technique in this game I like when you get the character with a blunt weapon who likes to use blunt weapons, and who they'll step up on a zombie it's laying down and swing square through the skull, splattering the skull. It's what I like to call the gazpacho despacho. So, but then again, right now there are 3 women, and they are fierce. Because there are 3 women, 2 women with kitchen implements. Now, I think one has a noodle knife and the other one has another. But this one here has an axe, a hatchet rather. And that's understandable. So you don't ever want to mess with 3 women with garden and kitchen utensils. That's just not a way to exacerbate one's life. And when I say I play a lot of zombie survival horror, never mind that I've played Dying Light and the Dead Island 1 and 2. I also played Dead Island. There was a little top-down game from Dead Island. I forget what it was called, but no longer has online service. They shut it down. So, oh well, that's lost. But that's neither here nor there. I have on my Steam account for the PC 326 hours in the State of Decay Year 1 edition. Year 1 Survivors edition. Alright, that doesn't count the hundreds of hours I have on the Xbox 360 with the original State of Decay, before there was a Year 1 Survivors edition. Now, I'm playing State of Decay 2. I'm loving it, and like I said, I've been through probably 20 communities. And those 20 communities have taught me that I can continue to overcome even if I can't digitally keep people alive. Okay, I know that this is a fight that I can win, and so I keep on fighting. This is where we all must find within ourselves that same capacity to continue fighting, to continue pushing forward. Because the only time you fail is when you stop trying. If you stop trying to fight against the tide, then you stop. Period. You stop. And that doesn't help you. Now, I've also, since the traumatic brain injury, since my heart issues, I've been diagnosed with both narcolepsy, which means I fall asleep at the drop of a hat, and insomnia, which means I can't stay asleep. Those 2 things, along with congestive heart failure and AFib, complicate my mental health dramatically. So I fight. I fight because I have a family I love. And I am here for them. They are here for me. And I couldn't imagine what my world would be without my girlfriend. I really can't imagine what my world would be like without her. I know it would be in a tailspin because my health, I think I spent 290 days in the hospital the year before I met her 5 years ago. And that was that. That was the way I was. That was my existence. Now, I'm here. I'm fighting. And I'm talking to you. Now, I'm not expecting to be some grand wizard at gaming. Why? Because I never have been. Having had 6 strokes, I'm lucky I have the motor control to walk on my own power. Never mind, being able to game. Being narcoleptic, I have woken up when the sound of a zombie attacking me, or my character ran into the water and I hear the splash, 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 it's so my it's very interesting when I'm asleep at the wheel. I am the AFK kid from Heck, but as I keep going on, it's keep fighting, and that is really what I think is the most important thing I can communicate to anyone. That as the illumANark, my act of random kindness is to convince you that you are capable of overcoming all the circumstances in your life. And if you need to use some digital entertainment to get there, as long as it's not excessive, that's fine. Now I have 300 and how many hours? 326 hours on the State of Decay Year 1 Survivor's Edition on PC. And then hundreds beyond that. Several hundreds beyond that. Like probably 2 or 3 times as much time just on the Xbox for State of Decay. And I probably have several hundred hours, probably 150, 200 hours into State of Decay 2. That, discounting any other survival games, I easily have over 1,000 hours in all the games. Now, because I was bought my State of Decay 2 through the Microsoft Store, I don't seem to be able to track how many hours I've been playing the game. So, there is that loss of knowledge. But, hey, all of the guys and gals that watch me or don't, all of the guys and gals that watch Get Good Fox and Jersey-O and Studio H and 1,000 other creators, thousands, millions of creators on YouTube. I have to say that if I have 2 persons' eyeballs, that's great. If I have more than that, that's blisteringly wonderful. But I am going to have to deal with the fact that I am no longer a YouTube partner. Even though I am still affiliated with the MCN Freedom, because Freedom has chosen that even though they can't manage me officially, they will not discontinue allowing me to utilize the services. Like the song by Magnus Ringblom that I was that opened up this episode. It is a tune that I find reminiscent of many of my favorite movies. And because of that, I keep on plowing on with, I can't say because of the music, but it's like, it's got that intensity and vibration that just really, well, it really gets me going. So, I use it as my intro music now. Now, I don't know if I'm going to tab in some additional oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I'm trying to do this, and I know that if I stop talking and give up on trying for this one, I may not get through the second or third or fourth or eighth or 10th try. That's why I always try to fight with putting out these narratives with a singular take. I would rather make the mistake and be seen for it than not. Like I missed on that trunk of that one car that I just walked with, but then again, I am trying to make my way to here where I can pick up some guns and ammo because we're just starting out. So this community doesn't have a bunch of guns laying around, especially since I chose to skip the tutorial and move directly to gameplay. It's a risky proposition, but you know, I am fighting against the tide of my own mediocrity. You know, and that's sad to have to say it that way, but it's just raw, unadulterated truth. And I try my best to stick to as much raw truth as possible, because I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't. I don't like being deceived, and I really would not like to be the deceiver. So I sit here and not tell you. My average Gamers League level gameplay, yeah. And I think that's one that Felicia Day tried to start, the average Gamers League. It's because, all the professional gamers out there, she wanted something for just normal people. And I don't know how normal I am, but I know how normal I'd like to be. So I'm going to keep on pushing on and try to keep talking on the power of overcome and how it might be very useful in your world and how it may help us move ahead together. Now, I am the illumANark, Michael Conway of illumANark Podcast Radio, and Thin Horde. I also have another channel, the illumANark, which is basically Enlightened Active Random Kindness, is what illumANark stands for. Enlightened Active Random Kindness. And if the random kindness is just letting you know that it is possible to overcome, then my work here is done. I'd like to think that, but I know better. So, I fight against my tides. I know you're going to fight against yours. And together, as the illumANarchy proves out to be on a regular basis, the illumANarchy is all about basically two kinds of people. The two kinds of people I choose and to enjoy to associate with. That would be Illuminaries and Mysterians. Illuminaries, you keep shining forth your light to make the world a better place for your passing. And you Mysterians? Hey, pull those mysteries out into the light so we can all work on them together. So Illuminaries and Mysterians, they work together. Some people are able to balance both processes. Those are rare and fine individuals indeed. But I'm here to say that it is entirely workable for you to succeed in a world where everybody counts you out. I've been told I've been declared dead 7 times. I've been told that I've had 8 to 10 hours to live. That was about 5 years ago. I was told that I had 8 to 10 hours to live. Then it was 8 to 10 days. Then they made it 8 to 10 weeks. He didn't try for the months. He realized that whatever he told me was my limitation, I was going to find a way to exceed it, even if that meant having to hold myself on life support for 3 days longer than he said. That was sometimes all the stubborn I need. But before this is all lost to the ether, I'm going to let the remainder 5 or 6 minutes on this 3 minutes, sorry, 3 minutes on this episode wind out, and we'll see if we can pull more of this together so that we can all enjoy a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of a discussion, and with that, I am out of here and out of my mind. And just remember that today has been brought to you by Waffles. Pancakes leaving you flat. Waffles, the sexy pancake. With that, peace.